Hello everyone, and welcome back to our talk about acetals. We already started this section in class today on Friday, right before break, but we didn't quite get to the mechanism part, so I thought I would just make a separate video. This mechanism is probably the longest one that we'll do all semester, so it's a little bit involved, but all the steps are going to be things that we've seen before, so I just wanted to make sure we had time to really go over it and discuss it in case anyone has questions later. And also this way you'll be able to watch it multiple times without having to go look through the whole lecture. So just a quick reminder, if it's been a little bit since we saw class, if you're not watching it right after. So basically, we talked about in class on Friday, we talked about acetal formation. That's going to be with either an aldehyde or a ketone. And the products look very similar. They're a little bit different. But if you start with the aldehyde, you're going to get this over here. And then you're going to get the acetal. And if you react a ketone with an alcohol, you're going to get what some people call a ketal. And then we said that chemists just call this an acetal. So either one is fine. In this case, I'm going to say ketal in this class because we're actually going to use the ketal part later when we talk about sugars. So that's basically just a review. So the products look like this. When you're numbering the carbons, you would start 1, 2, 3 over here. That's 1, 2, 3 over here. And so you see we get this key carbon here with 2 oxygens. That's where the carbonyl was. And then on this ketone, if we numbered it 1, 2, 3, 4, and then on the right we label it 1, 2, 3, 4 again, this is our key carbon here where the carbonyl was. So that key carbon is going to be really important, and that's where all the action is going to happen. So now that we kind of know what an acetal is, let's talk about the mechanism and how it works. Just note this works exactly the same whether it's an acetal or a ketal. The process is exactly the same. The other thing is this mechanism is kind of long, but it'll be really easy to keep track of the steps if you label them with words, and we've learned all the different types of steps, so hopefully that will be helpful. So let's go ahead and look at that. So the first thing is we want to note that this is the acetal mechanism is acid catalyzed. That means we're in acidic conditions. So that we've talked about what that means before. If you're in acidic conditions, that means first of all, you can make better electrophiles, and also you can make leaving groups better. So we're going to actually do both of those things for this mechanism. Ketones and aldehydes are not bad, but they're not that reactive. They're just, if you think about, like we talked about a hydrate, hydrates are not in the hydrate form very often. They tend to just be double bond O's are very stable. They tend to be in that form. So we're going to have to do something to make that work out. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is make a better electrophile. So as we said with the hydrate, we're going to do that by protonating the carbonyl. So that would look like this, where you take the lone pair from the oxygen and then just add the H plus as the electrophile. And then that's going to make this product. So remember, we're going to have a double bond O, and then we're going to have a plus on the oxygen. All right, so now that we have a good electrophile, the next step is we're going to attack with a nucleophile. So what would be our nucleophile for this reaction? Right, it's going to be the O on the alcohol. So I'm going to draw the lone pair there, and then that's going to go directly to this carbon, the key carbon, right, of the carbonyl, and electrons are going to go up, just like we've seen a lot of times in the previous section. Okay, so then if I draw that, it's going to look like this kind of product. So again, we've seen this kind of thing before. So if we go ahead and make this not a good leaving group, that would be good, right? Because we don't want to leave, it just got here. And then we'll go ahead and we're actually going to have to make the O on the top leave. If you look at the products on the right, both of these oxygens have double carbons on them, right? They have an ethyl group. So because they have the ethyl group, we know that they must have come from the alcohol. So if I draw these dotted lines here, that sort of splits it, right? If you look, then that means the key carbon doesn't have any of the oxygens that were on it to start with, the carbonyl. So where did the oxygen go? The answer is in the water. So this oxygen here is actually the same as this oxygen here in the water. So we're going to make it a better leaving group. So to make that a better leaving group, we can actually go ahead and do that and just combine these steps, or we can do it as a separate reaction. I'm going to do it as a separate reaction just the one time because I want to show you an intermediate that's very common that you'll see in the future. So let me draw this product first. So as you can see for this product, we've got the alcohol piece over here and then the leftover OH piece here. So compared to the product, we're about halfway done. This thing here is called a hemi-acetal or a hemi-ketal, depending on if it's ketal or acetal. But as you can see, the hemi part, it means half. So it's half alcohol, half O carbon group. So that's what the hemi means. It means half and half, basically. And we're going to see this a lot of times in sugars, but not so much in organic molecules. So organic molecules tend to go all the way to an acetal, but carbohydrates tend to almost always stay as the hemi version. So I just wanted to point out this is what the hemi is, so that way we know what we're doing. So if I call this step where I make it not a good leaving group step 3A, the hemi-ketal comes from only step 3A. But when we're doing this long organic mechanism, it's actually much shorter to combine steps, so we're going to combine this with another step. So the step we're going to combine it with is then making a better leaving group for the O that's going to leave as water. So let's go ahead and draw that up here. So here this is going to attack an H+, and that's going to make it a better leaving group. So the next step would be to draw the intermediate for that. So pause the video and draw what that would look like. So let's see, is this what you got? Hopefully it is. You lost the proton here and you gained the proton there. So now we've actually made a better leaving group. It's time for the leaving group to leave. So I'm going to draw that arrow, and then I'm going to show you that the lone pair is going to reform a double bond O. But no, in this case, the double bond O has the carbons on it, whereas before it would have had the O or the OH. So let's go ahead and draw what that product would look like. So here it is. Notice, again, it looks just like the carbonyl that we started with, except for this time it's got the carbons on the top. So now this is already a good electrophile because we've got a positive charge on the oxygen here. It looks a lot like the second intermediate that we drew over here on the left. So we've got a good electrophile, we've still got a nucleophile, and that's why the nucleophile is going to attack. So let's have that alcohol nucleophile attack here and see what that makes. All right, so this is what it should look like. We should have the same carbon structure. We're still going to have our O carbons on the top, and then we're going to have our O carbons on the bottom also, and then we have an extra H that we're probably going to take off, so I'm going to draw that line out. All right, so where would our positive charge be on this intermediate? Right, it's going to be on this oxygen. And then now to make the product, we're so close. We've got the key carbon with the 2 oxygen carbons on it, but we just need to get rid of this one H to make it not want to leave. So we'll make this not a good leaving group, and then that will make our product. Again, I just flipped this O carbon on the bottom and made it be on the top, just because that's the way you would see it more commonly, but you can draw it either way. So just as a review, notice that this mechanism has 6 different steps to the mechanism. And that's with combining step 3 to actually, which is technically 2 steps, into 1 step. So it is kind of long. But keep in mind also that we've seen every single one of these types of things before. Making a better electrophile, we know how to do. Nucleophile attacking electrophile, the carbonyl, we've seen that a lot. Making things not a leaving group, making things better group, and leaving group leaves. All those things are things we've seen before. So hopefully that helps you sort of keep track of them and really talk yourself through it whenever you're practicing writing it out, and that will make it go a lot smoother and you won't get lost. Since that's kind of a long mechanism, I'm going to stop there, give you some time to process or watch it again, or maybe write out the steps again. But then after you're done, I have one more reaction that I want to show you that's tied to acetals. It's pretty important. It's very similar to what we just did. It's called removing the acetal. So make sure you check out the next video.